Imagine this. It's 2025, and you step off your flight into a bright, bustling American terminal. You clutch your passport, pulse racing with excitement, because this time, you know you don't need a visa. No awkward embassy interviews. No dusty bank statements to scan. No weeks of nail-biting waiting for that approval email. You walk up to immigration, the officer smiles, stamps your passport, and says, "Welcome home." Just 2 years ago, in early 2023, dozens of stories went viral online. A young Rwandan engineer couldn't make it to a San Francisco hackathon despite winning a scholarship. A Senegalese film crew had to pull out of the New York African Film Festival because visas were delayed. A Botswana wildlife researcher missed a joint workshop in Colorado on anti-poaching drones. These weren't isolated tales. They were snapshots of how rigid visa rules kept talent, ideas, and partnerships locked out. Meanwhile, big voices in the U.S. started to speak up. In mid-2024, CEOs of top tech companies testified to Congress, "We're losing ground. We need more engineers, more data scientists, more creative thinkers." Hospitals in Atlanta and Los Angeles issued urgent statements. "Nurse shortages are at crisis levels. We need help now." Farmers in Iowa warned of labor gaps in their fields, saying seasonal workers just weren't enough. Behind the scenes, rival powers moved fast. China signed massive infrastructure deals in Nigeria and Ethiopia, complete with simplified business visas for engineers and students. Russia expanded its military training programs in several African nations, making travel smoother for their personnel. Turkey launched an aggressive scholarship drive, flying hundreds of African students to Istanbul on easy visas. The message was loud and clear. Whoever controls mobility gains influence. That set off alarm bells in Washington. If the United States wanted to stay competitive, if it wanted the brightest minds, the most driven entrepreneurs, and the next generation of innovators, it had to rethink its visa policy. So in 2025, a bold plan emerged. Open America's doors to citizens of select African countries, no visa required. Now, here are 10 African nations poised to benefit first, each chosen for real-world trust, proven skills, and strong rule of law. Number 10, Rwanda. Rwanda has rewritten its story in just a decade. After rebuilding from tragedy, the government invested heavily in digital infrastructure. Every passport links to a secure national ID, cutting fraud and ensuring visitors leave on time. In 2022, less than 0.5% of Rwandan tourists in Europe overstayed their visas, the lowest rate in Africa. Kigali Innovation City, launched in late 2023, brought together thousands of young coders, many of them women, to develop apps for agriculture and clean energy. When international tech firms heard about these projects, they invited Rwandan teams to pitch in Silicon Valley, but visa delays meant many had to decline. Now, those same startups could fly their partners here with zero paperwork. On the diplomatic front, Rwanda signed a science exchange memorandum with the U.S. National Science Foundation in March 2024. That agreement funds joint research on climate-smart agriculture and public health. Visa-free travel would let Rwandan researchers attend U.S. conferences, share data in real time, and set up pilot programs in communities from Iowa cornfields to California orchards. Finally, Rwanda's diaspora in New York and Washington sends back more than remittances. They bring ideas, networks, and mentorship. With free entry, Rwandans could shuttle between Kigali and U.S. tech hubs as easily as Europeans do today, building bridges that accelerate innovation on both continents. Number 9, Senegal. Senegal shines as West Africa's cultural heartbeat. The Dakar Biennale, launched in February 2024, spotlighted street artists and filmmakers from around the world. European and American participants flew in for key sessions, only to get stuck in visa loops. Senegal's compliance record, however, rivals Germany's. In 2023, 98% of Senegalese visitors to Europe returned on schedule. Its capital, Dakar, is also growing as a tech and startup center. Local incubators host dozens of fintech and health tech ventures that solve real problems like digital payments in rural areas. U.S. banks and health networks see huge potential for partnership. Visa-free access would let American executives and engineers join hackathons in Dakar, test pilot apps on the ground, and bring feedback directly to heads of state. Academia stands to gain too. The University of Dakar has exchange links with at least 5 U.S. universities, but bureaucratic hurdles limit programs to just 10 students per year. Open borders could expand this to hundreds, sending HBCU researchers to study French language, entrepreneurship, and coastal erosion solutions in St. Louis. Meanwhile, American graduate students could conduct fieldwork in Senegal's Sahel region, studying sustainable agriculture techniques firsthand. Beyond arts and science, hundreds of Senegalese nurses and teachers already work in U.S. cities, filling vital roles in education and healthcare. Removing visa barriers would ease recruitment, reduce costs for hospitals, and ensure communities get the support they need sooner. Number 8. Botswana. Botswana's story is one of stability and foresight. Since gaining independence in 1966, it has built one of Africa's strongest democracies and invested diamond revenues into world-class public services. The Okavango Delta, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, benefits directly from these funds, drawing conservationists and ecotourists alike. In November 2023, a joint U.S. Botswana workshop introduced drone-based anti-poaching technologies to local rangers. American experts flew in on standard visitor visas, but each needed weeks of paperwork. With visa-free entry, U.S. wildlife biologists could arrive on short notice to update software, train teams, and monitor habitats across seasons. Botswana also maintains a low crime rate and uses English in government and courts. U.S. mining firms value this clarity when negotiating environmental standards and community benefit agreements. Visa waivers would let geologists, environmental lawyers, and project managers coordinate with local authorities in Gaborone, then return by evening. Tourism partnerships stand to flourish as well. Botswana's high-end safari lodges have won global awards for sustainable practices. American hospitality groups often look to Botswana for design inspiration and training programs. Removing visa hurdles means American chefs, lodge managers, and travel writers could collaborate more closely, sharing ideas that improve guest experiences both here and there. Number 7. Mauritius. Mauritius isn't just a paradise of white sands and turquoise seas. It's a modern financial center and technology hub. In March 2024, Port Louis welcomed the annual Africa FinTech Summit, where leaders from Visa, MasterCard, and U.S. startups gathered to discuss blockchain, digital wallets, and cross-border payments. Yet many American executives spent more time waiting in visa lines than networking. Over the past decade, Mauritius has worked hard to earn trust. Its courts operate in English, its banking rules meet global standards, and its passport holders boast a near-perfect record of leaving host countries on time. In 2023, only 0.3% of Mauritian visitors to Europe overstayed, a rate even lower than Switzerland's. U.S. regulators took notice. They saw that Mauritian firms could help American banks pilot new compliance tools or refine anti-money laundering tech. Beyond finance, Mauritius is building an information and communications technology (ICT) park that opened in mid-2023. Local entrepreneurs there are coding apps for telemedicine, remote education, and smart agriculture. In September of that year, a U.S. health tech incubator in Boston selected a Mauritian team to pilot a remote diagnosis platform, but the plan fell apart when the team couldn't secure timely visas. Visa-free entry would change the game. Imagine Mauritian developers flying to Boston to run live trials in hospitals, then returning home to scale solutions across the Indian Ocean. Think of joint hackathons in Chicago and Port Louis, where students swap ideas on AI-driven education tools. Or picture U.S. university exchange programs swapping semesters, American undergraduates studying biodiversity on the island, and Mauritian students working on clean energy research at U.S. labs. These exchanges would strengthen both economies. U.S. firms gain reliable partners in a secure, English-speaking jurisdiction. Mauritius deepens its ties to global capital and expertise. With visa barriers down, Mauritian professionals could move freely to attend conferences in New York or San Francisco, fueling innovation on both shores. Number 6. Ghana. Ghana has been a rising star in West Africa for years. Its capital, Accra, is home to Silicon Accra, a fast-growing tech district where startups tackle challenges from mobile banking to telehealth. In July 2024, the U.S. Africa Business Summit in Accra brought together hundreds of American CEOs and Ghanaian ministers to sign memorandums on energy, agriculture, and digital skills training. Yet many participants faced lengthy visa waits back home. Ghana's government responded by streamlining its passport system and cutting visa overstay rates by half between 2021 and 2023. At the same time, remittances from the Ghanaian diaspora in Washington, Baltimore, and Chicago topped $4 billion annually, money that flows back into education, housing, and small businesses. These ties created broad goodwill in the United States, from local chambers of commerce to Congress. On the cultural side, Ghana's Year of Return in 2019 welcomed diaspora visitors and reignited transatlantic connections. Thousands attended concerts, film screenings, and heritage tours, yet many had to scramble for valid travel documents. A visa waiver would cement those bonds. Imagine American history classes bringing students to Cape Coast Castle to study the transatlantic slave trade, then returning to present joint research in U.S. classrooms. In sports and entertainment, Ghanaian musicians regularly headlined festivals from Los Angeles to Austin. Visa-free access would let artists tour without interruption, boosting revenues for venues and creating more cultural exchanges, collaborations that blend high life and hip-hop, Kent cloth fashion shows paired with New York Design Weeks. Finally, Ghana's role in agritech can't be ignored. The government's Planting for Food and Jobs program has doubled maize yields since 2017. U.S. agricultural universities, eager to share drought-resistant crop research, could send specialists to collaborate on Ghanaian farms. With no visa paperwork to slow them down, American agronomists and Ghanaian extension officers could roll out climate-smart practices in week-long workshops across the country. All of this shows why Ghana, the innovation hub, cultural connector, and reliable partner, earns a spot for visa-free travel. Number 5. South Africa. South Africa is Africa's second-largest economy and home to some of the continent's top universities, world-class research centers, and a vibrant creative scene. In May 2024, Cape Town hosted the African Climate Summit, where scientists from Stanford, Harvard, and the University of Cape Town presented collaborative research on coastal erosion, water conservation, and renewable energy. Yet some U.S. delegates had to dial back their visits due to tight visa quotas. Beyond climate science, South African students make up a significant share of international enrollments at U.S. universities, especially in STEM fields. In 2023, nearly 5,000 South African students studied in the U.S., many on exchange scholarships under the Mandela Washington Fellowship. Those programs build future African leaders, but heavy visa paperwork limited places to just a fraction of applicants. South Africa also boasts a mature legal system modeled on Western frameworks, a strong civil society, and a large middle class with global experience. Cape Town's film studios produce award-winning movies, and Johannesburg's advertising agencies serve clients from New York to London. When U.S. creatives fly in to co-produce films or run ad campaign workshops, they often face embassy timelines that clash with tight production schedules. A visa waiver would smooth these collaborations. Filmmakers could cross back and forth to shoot scenes, edit content, and hold test screenings in Los Angeles or New York, without passport delays. Academic partnerships could expand, joint medical research on HIV and tuberculosis, engineering projects on smart cities, and business school case studies on South Africa's post-apartheid economy. Moreover, South Africa's robust tourism infrastructure, luxury lodges, coastal resorts, and cultural heritage sites draws millions every year. U.S. travel agencies and tour operators partner with South African firms, but coordination trips require multiple visa appointments. Open travel would let tour operators scout locations in person, refine packages on the ground, and build stronger ties with local guides and communities. In all these ways, education, science, the arts, and tourism, South Africa stands out as a partner ready for frictionless exchange. Visa-free entry would amplify decades of progress and deepen bonds across industries. Number 4. Kenya. Kenya has earned its nickname, Silicon Savannah, for good reason. Over the past decade, Nairobi has transformed into a thriving technology hub. In 2024 alone, the government reported a 35% jump in tech startups, with new companies tackling everything from mobile payments to drone delivery of medical supplies. The U.S. Africa Business Summit held in Nairobi in July 2024 highlighted this surge. American CEOs sat alongside Kenyan founders, signing agreements on digital finance and remote health initiatives. Yet, many of those U.S. executives spent precious hours stuck in visa lines, time they could have spent meeting partners or testing new apps on the ground. What makes Kenya especially compelling is its track record of reliability. In 2023, 97% of Kenyan visitors to Europe returned home on time, matching or exceeding rates from many Western nations. The country's advanced e-passport system links biometric data directly to immigration controls, making it one of the most secure travel documents worldwide. This low overstay rate isn't an accident. Kenya has invested heavily in border management technology, coordinated training between immigration officers and airline staff, and rolled out traveler education campaigns so citizens understand entry requirements everywhere they go. On the education front, Kenyan students are increasingly visible on U.S. campuses. In the fall of 2023, more than 4,500 Kenyans enrolled in American universities, a 20% increase over the previous year. Many study engineering, data science, and public health. Yet heavy visa paperwork caps these exchange programs, limiting opportunities to just a few hundred participants per year. Removing visa requirements could multiply these exchanges tenfold. Imagine dozens of Kenyan PhD candidates attending summer research workshops at MIT or Caltech, then returning to Nairobi to pilot artificial intelligence solutions for traffic management or water quality monitoring. Healthcare is another key area. Kenya's Ministry of Health has pioneered mobile phone-based disease surveillance since 2017, helping track outbreaks in remote regions. In March 2024, a joint Kenya-US workshop brought CDC experts to Nairobi to refine these systems. But visa delays meant some sessions were postponed. With visa-free travel, American epidemiologists could fly in quickly during health emergencies, collaborate in real time on data analysis, and train local staff without diplomatic holdups. Culturally, Kenya's impact in the United States is growing. Annual Nairobi Film Week has attracted Hollywood producers scouting African talent, while the Lama Cultural Festival draws U.S. art dealers and gallery owners. Visa-free access would let producers and curators cross back and forth seamlessly, co-producing films that blend Maasai oral traditions with modern storytelling, or mounting exhibitions that pair Kenyan contemporary art with works in New York's MoMA. Finally, don't overlook sports and agriculture. Kenya's middle and long-distance runners headline U.S. marathons, yet many miss training camps because of visa timing. Farmers in the Rift Valley have doubled coffee yields through new agronomy methods, techniques that American growers want to study firsthand. Visa waivers would let coaches and agronomists move without delays, strengthening ties between universities, sports academies, and agricultural institutes on both sides of the Atlantic. All these threads, tech innovation, dependable travel records, educational exchanges, health partnerships, cultural bridges, and sports diplomacy, come together in one simple fact: Kenya is ready for visa-free access. Both nations stand to gain powerful, ongoing collaborations that benefit everyday citizens. Number 3. Tunisia. Tunisia may be small in size, but it punches well above its weight in digital transformation and cross-continental diplomacy. Since the Tunisian Revolution in 2011, the country has undertaken major reforms, strengthening judicial independence, expanding press freedoms, and opening up its economy to foreign investment. That progress has created a tech ecosystem centered in Tunis and the El Ghazala Technopark outside the capital. By mid-2024, more than 150 startups were based there, focusing on artificial intelligence, fintech, and cybersecurity. In May 2024, the U.S. State Department co-hosted a cybersecurity conference in Tunis, inviting experts from the Department of Homeland Security and leading American tech firms. Yet dozens of invited speakers missed panels because visa approval processes took weeks. Observers noted that Tunisia's visa overstay rate globally is under 1%, comparable to top European nations. The government's secure e-passport system, coupled with strong anti-fraud measures, gives immigration authorities confidence that Tunisian travelers will respect the rules. Language and culture also favor strong ties. Tunisia's official languages include Arabic and French, but English proficiency has soared in tech circles, thanks to collaborations with U.S. universities and Silicon Valley mentors. Joint research agreements signed in early 2024 between Tunisian universities and American counterparts cover AI-driven health diagnostics, microgrid energy planning, and water desalination technology. In each case, researchers spend weeks navigating visa paperwork, time that could otherwise be dedicated to experiments or community outreach. Tunisia's youth demographic is another major draw. Nearly 60% of the population is under 30, with universities graduating thousands of engineers, data analysts, and medical professionals every year. American hospitals and clinics, facing critical staffing shortages, see an opportunity here. In late 2023, partnerships began between Tunisian nursing schools and U.S. medical centers in Houston and Chicago, but visa caps slowed the programs. With visa-free entry, nurses and allied health professionals could arrive for short-term rotations, easing understaffed wards while gaining advanced training and bringing skills back home. Culturally, Tunisia offers rich connections. Carthage Film Festival alumni regularly win awards at Cannes and Sundance, yet many have to juggle visa interviews before attending global screenings. A waiver would let filmmakers share their stories more freely, sparking co-productions that blend North African narratives with American cinematic techniques. Tourism and sustainable development also stand to benefit. Tunisia's Mediterranean coast and Roman ruins draw millions of Europeans each year. U.S. tour operators seek to add Tunis to their Mediterranean itineraries. Visa-free travel would make planning smoother, boosting tourist flows and creating jobs in both countries. Meanwhile, Tunisia's clean energy initiatives, solar farms in the Sahara and wind projects on the Cap Bon Peninsula are ripe for U.S. investment. Engineers and project managers could cross borders swiftly to oversee installations, share best practices, and train local teams. In every sector, from tech and healthcare to film, tourism, and renewable energy, Tunisia has proven its reliability, innovation, and rule of law. Visa-free access would transform these isolated projects into continuous partnerships, driving growth, creativity, and mutual understanding between the United States and Tunisia. Number 2. Morocco. Morocco's road to visa-free access is paved with decades of diplomatic and economic collaboration with the United States. In 2006, the U.S. Morocco Free Trade Agreement came into force, boosting two-way trade from roughly $4 billion in 2005 to over $8 billion by 2023. American businesses invest heavily in Moroccan automotive plants near Tangier and aerospace manufacturing in Casablanca. These factories employ thousands of Moroccans who build parts for Ford, Boeing, and Airbus. On the energy front, Morocco made headlines in 2020 when it inaugurated the Noor Ouarzazate Solar Complex, the largest concentrated solar plant in the world. U.S. clean energy firms helped design and finance the project, sending engineers and project managers to Ouarzazate as consultants. Until now, each visit required a visa application process that could take weeks. Visa-free travel would let American energy experts fly in at a moment's notice to implement upgrades or share best practices on battery storage and grid integration. Education has been another cornerstone of collaboration. Moroccan students are among the fastest-growing international groups on U.S. campuses. In fall 2023, over 3,200 Moroccans studied in the United States, many in STEM fields, computer science, mechanical engineering, and environmental studies. Universities like MIT, UC Berkeley, and Georgia Tech have dedicated Morocco scholarships and summer programs, yet rigid visa timelines cap participation. Removing those barriers could more than double student exchange numbers, fueling innovation hubs from Rabat to Raleigh. Morocco's governance record strengthens its case further. Passport overstay data from the European Union shows Moroccan visitors have one of Africa's lowest non-compliance rates, under 0.7% in 2022, comparable to Portugal and Spain. The government's investment in biometric passports and border management technology cut passport fraud by over 60% between 2017 and 2021. U.S. policy advisors note that Morocco's mix of legal reform, anti-corruption measures, and strong bilateral ties makes it a reliable partner deserving of visa-free status. Imagine American agritech specialists flying to the Souss Massa region to pilot drip irrigation systems, then returning home the next day to prepare reports. Or U.S. public health researchers attending Rabat workshops on rural health delivery without embassy hurdles. Visa-free travel would turn occasional visits into continuous collaboration, benefiting farmers, engineers, students, and entrepreneurs alike. Number 1. Cape Verde. At first glance, Cape Verde might seem an unlikely leader. An archipelago of just over 500,000 people sitting off West Africa's coast. Yet its record of democracy, transparency, and travel compliance is almost unmatched on the continent. Since its peaceful transition to multi-party democracy in 1991, Cape Verde has held free elections every 4 years, earning praise from international observers and consistently ranking in the top 5 of the Ibrahim Index of African governance. Cape Verde's diaspora is its greatest asset. Nearly 1 in 3 Cape Verdeans lives abroad, in the United States, Portugal, the Netherlands, and Angola, sending home nearly 10% of the nation's GDP in remittances. In New England cities like Boston and Providence, Cape Verdean communities have built small businesses, cultural centers, and annual music festivals that celebrate Morna and Caladira rhythms. Those ties create grassroots goodwill and broad support for closer travel links. On the environmental front, Cape Verde is positioning itself as a test lab for renewable energy and climate resilience. Its wind farms on the islands of São Vicente and Sal have drawn interest from U.S. clean energy companies looking to adapt technologies for coastal states like Florida and Louisiana. In 2023, a joint research team from the University of Massachusetts Dartmouth and the University of Cape Verde conducted studies on offshore wind turbine corrosion, yet U.S. engineers spent weeks in visa limbo before deploying equipment. Visa-free access would let these experts deploy sensors, analyze data, and train local engineers in a matter of days. Academic exchanges are another area poised to boom. Cape Verde's University of Praia has exchange programs with schools in Massachusetts and California, focusing on marine biology, tourism management, and African studies. Removing visa hurdles could expand these programs from a few dozen students each year to hundreds, fostering deeper academic ties and supporting Cape Verde's goal of becoming a regional center of excellence in marine sciences. Finally, Cape Verde holds one of Africa's most powerful passports. In 2024, Cape Verdean citizens could enter over 150 countries visa-free or with visa on arrival, including the entire Schengen area, Japan, and Brazil. Their overstay rates in Europe hover below 0.5%. U.S. immigration analysts view this as a testament to Cape Verde's responsible travel behavior and respect for international norms, qualities that align perfectly with the criteria for visa waivers. Opening U.S. borders to Cape Verde would reward a small nation that has consistently punched above its weight in governance, diaspora engagement, and environmental innovation. It symbolizes a broader shift, valuing trust, discipline, and mutual benefit over old assumptions and outdated policies. If you found this video eye-opening, go ahead and hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our deep dives into geopolitics and global trends. Share this video with friends who love to stay ahead of the curve, and drop a comment below. Which country surprised you the most? What collaborations do you think will flourish first? Tech startups, clean energy, education exchanges, or something else? We read every comment and can't wait to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more fresh insights on the forces shaping our world in 2025 and beyond.